Welcome to Zoe Stories. I got the wrong surgery. Now I'm a girl for good. I woke up to the sound of a heart monitor. Beep, beep, beep. The sterile smell of disinfectant clung to the air, burning my nose before my eyes even opened. My body felt heavy, weighted down by a fog that seemed to press against my chest. My throat was raw, and when I tried to swallow, it felt like sandpaper. For a few seconds, I didn't even remember why I was here. Then it hit me. The surgery. It was supposed to be simple routine. Nothing life-changing, nothing dramatic. Just an outpatient procedure to fix something small, a hernia that had been bothering me since I was a kid. The doctor had assured me it was nothing to worry about. But something was wrong. Even through the anesthesia haze, I could feel it, the way my body lay against the sheets, the way every small movement felt unfamiliar. I tried to shift, but pain rippled through me. Not the dull ache I'd expected, but a sharper, deeper wound, as though something inside me had been taken away or added. "Hey, you're awake," a nurse's voice said softly. I blinked against the blinding white light overhead. The room sharpened into focus. Pale blue curtains, the rhythmic hum of machines, the faint scuff of shoes against linoleum. The nurse, a woman with kind eyes, smiled as though nothing were wrong. "You gave us quite a scare. How do you feel?" I don't know." My voice cracked. It sounded higher, softer, fragile. I froze. Why does my voice sound like this? The nurse hesitated, just a second, but long enough for me to notice. Her smile faltered, then returned. "Don't strain yourself. The anesthesia can make your throat feel funny. Just rest." But no matter how I tried to reassure myself, the panic spread like fire. My hands trembled as I lifted them from the blanket, expecting to see my familiar, calloused fingers. They looked the same, almost slimmer, paler, nails cleaner than they'd ever been. I pulled the blanket down, and my world collapsed. A chest I had never seen before rose and fell with shallow breaths, small but unmistakable, curves pressing against the thin hospital gown. My stomach tightened, my vision blurred, and a sound escaped me, half gasp, half sob. "No, no, no, no." The nurse moved quickly, placing a firm hand on my shoulder. "Calm down. You'll hurt yourself." "What happened to me?" I demanded, voice trembling, shrill. Too shrill. She bit her lip, avoided my eyes. "I need to get the doctor." Then she was gone, the curtains swaying in her wake. I was left alone, staring down at the impossible body beneath the gown. My heart hammered so fast it drowned out the beeping monitor. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. I had gone in for a simple surgery. How could I wake up like this? The curtain drew back again. Not the nurse this time, but her. Claire. My older cousin. My babysitter when I was younger. My best friend once, until she grew sharper, colder, always knowing how to twist a knife with a smile. She wasn't supposed to be here. She lived across the city. But there she was, in a tailored jacket and heels, her perfume filling the small room before she even spoke. Her lips curled into a smirk when she saw me struggling to sit up. Well. Sleeping Beauty finally woke up. "Claire?" My voice shook. I clutched the blanket to my chest, though it did nothing to hide the impossible curves beneath. What happened to me? Where's the doctor?" She stepped closer, her heels clicking softly. "The doctor will come. But let's just say there was a little mix-up." I stared at her, not comprehending. "Mix-up? What are you talking about?" Her smile didn't falter. If anything, it widened. She leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper, like she was telling me a delicious secret. "They did the wrong surgery." The words hit me like ice water. "You're lying," I choked. "That's impossible." "Is it?" She tilted her head, eyes glinting. "You were vulnerable. Paperwork gets shuffled. Mistakes happen." And now, she let her gaze sweep over me slowly, deliberately, until I pulled the blanket tighter. "You're my pretty little cousin." My skin burned with shame and confusion. I couldn't process it. I wanted to scream, to tear the monitors off, to demand answers, but my body was weak, my throat raw. Tears stung my eyes. I want my life back. Claire's expression softened, almost pitying. She brushed a strand of hair from my forehead with a touch far too gentle. Oh, sweetheart, there is no going back. You need to understand that. Her hand lingered just a moment too long before she straightened, her smirk returning. But don't worry. I'll help you. You won't survive like this on your own. You'd be lost, humiliated. But with me guiding you, she leaned closer, her perfume dizzying. You might just become someone beautiful. I shook my head, choking on sobs. No, this isn't real. I'm not a girl. I can't be. But when I glanced at the mirror across the room, I saw her reflection, wide, terrified eyes set in a face that wasn't mine. Softer, rounder, pale lips trembling beneath strands of hair that brushed against my cheeks. A stranger's face. My face. The monitor beeped faster. My breaths came shallow, ragged. I wanted to claw my way out of my own skin. Claire sat beside me, crossing her legs with elegance that mocked my shaking form. Don't fight it. The sooner you accept it, the easier it'll be. Her tone was calm, confident, terrifying in its finality. I turned away from the mirror, burying my face in my hands, but the soft curves beneath the gown pressed against my arms, inescapable reminders of what I had become. And then the doctor entered. A tall man with graying hair and a clipboard clutched tightly in his hand. He didn't meet my eyes as he explained, in a voice too clinical, too detached, that there had been an error. That irreversible procedures had been carried out. That reconstruction back to my original body was impossible. The words blurred, muffled by the pounding in my ears. All I heard was irreversible. When he left, I was trembling so violently I thought I might break apart. Claire stroked my hair like I was a child again. Don't cry. You'll ruin your pretty face. And in that moment, as hot tears rolled down my cheeks, I realized the truth. I had gone to sleep as a boy, and I had woken up as a girl. Forever. The silence in the hospital room was suffocating. I had cried until my throat burned, until my body trembled with exhaustion, but it hadn't changed a thing. The reality was carved into me, stitched into my skin by hands I had never seen. My old self was gone. The nurse came and went, checking my vitals, adjusting fluids. She looked at me differently now, her eyes too soft, too careful, like I was fragile, like I was delicate. And Claire never left. She sat in the corner, legs crossed elegantly, scrolling through her phone as though nothing earth-shattering had happened. Every so often, her eyes flicked toward me with that same sly smile, like she was watching a game she already knew she'd won. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. Why are you even here? I snapped, though my voice cracked, trembling with fear more than anger. You don't even live nearby. This isn't your business. She lowered her phone, raising a brow. Not my business? Oh, darling, it's very much my business now. Her tone was calm, almost amused, but beneath it there was steel. I clutched the blanket tighter around me. I just need to talk to Mom and Dad. They'll fix this. They'll. Claire laughed. A soft, cruel laugh that made my stomach twist. Do you think telling them will fix anything? Imagine their faces when they find out their son went into surgery and came out a daughter. Imagine the shame. The scandal. Do you really think they'll look at you the same way again? Her words sliced through me. I wanted to deny it, to scream that she was wrong, but the image flashed before my eyes, my father's stern, disappointed stare, my mother's tears, the whispered gossip of relatives. My throat closed. They deserve to know. Claire leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees. Maybe. But do you deserve to put them through that? To ruin their reputation? Their perfect little world. Her voice was smooth, hypnotic. She knew exactly where to press, which nerves to strike. I lowered my eyes, shame burning through me. She moved closer, perching on the edge of my bed. Her perfume wrapped around me, suffocating, intoxicating. Sweetheart, you can't change what's been done. You can only adapt. And lucky for you, I'm very good at helping people adapt. Her hand reached for mine, and I flinched. But she didn't let go. Her fingers were cool, deliberate, wrapping around mine with firm control. You're too weak to fight this alone, she whispered. But with me, you'll learn. I'll teach you how to walk, how to talk, how to move. I'll protect you from humiliation, from exposure. All you have to do is obey. The word hung in the air like a chain clinking shut. I shook my head violently. No. I'm not doing this. I'll find another way. I'll tell the police, the hospital board, someone. Her nails grazed against the back of my hand, gentle yet sharp enough to make me freeze. Her eyes locked onto mine, no trace of humor left. You think anyone will believe you? You think you'll be anything but a freak to them now? The venom in her voice made my stomach drop. She squeezed my hand tighter, almost painfully. No, darling. The only path left for you is forward. And forward means becoming who you are now, a girl. Tears stung my eyes again. I yanked my hand away, clutching it to my chest. I'm not a girl, I whispered, though even to my own ears, the words sounded weak, hollow. Claire's smile returned, infuriatingly calm. Then look in the mirror again and say that with a straight face. I didn't. I couldn't. She stood, smoothing her jacket. The doctor says you'll be discharged in a few days. When that happens, you're coming home with me. My head snapped up. What? No, I want to go home. You can't, she interrupted smoothly. Your parents can't see you like this. Not yet. You'd ruin them. No, you'll come with me. I'll keep you hidden until you're presentable. My stomach dropped. Presentable. Her smile widened. Until you can pass. Until you can step outside, and no one questions what you are. Until you're my pretty little cousin, through and through. The finality in her tone sent a shiver through me. Claire walked to the door, heels clicking. Before she left, she glanced back over her shoulder, eyes glinting with dangerous promise. Rest while you can. When you leave here, the lessons begin. Then the door closed, and I was alone again, shaking, broken, trapped in a body that wasn't mine, with the terrifying knowledge that Claire had taken control of my future. And I didn't know if I had the strength to stop her. The days in the hospital blurred together, long hours of staring at the ceiling, pretending to sleep when the nurses checked in, refusing to meet my own reflection whenever I passed the bathroom mirror. I avoided looking down at myself, too. Every accidental glimpse beneath the thin hospital gown sent fresh waves of nausea and disbelief through me. I clung to the hope that somehow, someone would tell me this was reversible. A correction, a reconstruction, a miracle. But every doctor who came into my room was the same, apologetic, detached, clinical. Permanent, they all said. Irreversible. And then the day came. The day Claire arrived to take me home. She swept into the room like she owned it, her perfume trailing ahead of her, her heels clicking against the tile floor. In her hands was a glossy shopping bag from some boutique I'd never heard of. Get up, she said, not unkindly, but with the firm authority of someone who expected no argument. Time to leave this dreary place. My heart pounded. I pulled the blanket tighter. I don't have anything to wear. Her smile was slow, knowing. Oh, I took care of that. She set the bag on the bed beside me and pulled out the first item, a soft, flowing dress in pale blue. It shimmered faintly in the hospital light, delicate, feminine, utterly alien to me. My stomach twisted. No, I can't wear that. Yes, you can. She held it up against me, tilting her head as though appraising her work. In fact, you must. You can't leave this hospital in those ugly gowns. People will stare, whisper, wonder what you are. But in this, she smirked. They'll only see a pretty girl on her way home. The words sliced through me. I'm not, my voice broke. It was too high, too soft. My protest already sounded like a lie. I'm not a girl. Claire's eyes softened, but it wasn't kindness. It was pity mingled with cruelty. Sweetheart, the world doesn't care what you think you are. It cares what you look like. And right now, She draped the dress over my lap. This is your only chance to walk out of here without everyone pointing and laughing. My hands shook as I clutched the fabric. It was so soft, so smooth, nothing like the jeans and hoodies I'd worn my whole life. I wanted to throw it on the floor, to scream, to refuse. But Claire was right. Without it, I'd be a freak wrapped in a hospital gown. Tears stung my eyes. Please don't make me. Claire crouched down, her face level with mine. Her tone was calm, steady, unyielding. This isn't about what you want anymore. This is survival. Do you understand? I swallowed hard. My throat felt raw. Finally, I nodded, too defeated to fight. Good girl, she whispered. The words made me flinch. But she was already standing, already pulling out the next item from the bag. White stockings, delicate and sheer, followed by a pair of ballet flats. Every piece was like a nail in the coffin of the boy I had been. She helped me dress, ignoring my trembling hands, my choked protests. When she slid the stockings up my legs, I bit my lip until I tasted blood, humiliated beyond words. The flats pinched my toes. And when she slipped the dress over my head, I felt myself disappear. It fell around me, soft and light, hugging curves I hadn't wanted, swaying when I moved. I caught a glimpse in the mirror above the sink and froze. The person staring back wasn't me. A pale, fragile girl with wide, tear-filled eyes gazed out. The hospital lighting made her look ghostly, unreal, but the shape was undeniable. The dress suited her, as if it had been made for her. As if she had always been there, waiting. A sob broke from my throat. I can't do this. Claire's hand settled on my shoulder, firm and steady. Yes, you can. You already are. I shook my head violently, tears streaming down my face. Please, I just want to be me again. Her grip tightened. This is you now. And the sooner you stop fighting it, the easier it'll be. I sank to the edge of the bed, burying my face in my hands, the soft fabric of the dress brushing against my skin like a cruel reminder. The sobs came uncontrollably, racking my body until I could barely breathe. Claire didn't comfort me. She just waited, patient, watching me break. When I finally quieted, hiccuping through the last of my tears, she knelt again, tilting my chin up with her finger. There will be more tears, sweetheart. First dress, first breakdown, it's always the hardest. But this was just the beginning. Soon, her lips curved into a smile that chilled me. You'll wear these things and not cry at all. You might even like them. I recoiled at the thought, shaking my head. Never. Her smirk deepened. We'll see. She stood, straightening her jacket. Come now. It's time to go home. I rose on unsteady legs, the dress swishing around me, the stockings whispering with every step. The world felt tilted, surreal. Every eye in the hallway seemed to follow me as we walked out of the hospital, me and my borrowed femininity, Claire leading me like a handler with her pet. And though no one said a word, I could feel it. The stares, the whispers, the judgment. My first steps into a life I never chose. Claire's apartment smelled like expensive candles and something floral I couldn't place. Everything was sleek and modern. Glass tables, polished wood floors, soft white rugs that I was terrified of dirtying with my trembling feet. It didn't feel like a home. It felt like a stage. And I was the unwilling performer. She guided me inside, her manicured hand pressing against the small of my back as though I might bolt at any second. I didn't have the strength to resist. My head still spun from the hospital, from the humiliation of leaving in a dress. I could still feel the stares of strangers burning into me, though no one had said a word. Take a seat, Claire said smoothly, gesturing to a plush vanity chair set before an ornate mirror. I froze. Why? Her smirk widened. Because, sweetheart, if you're going to live in my house, you'll do it properly. No more hiding under blankets and tears. You'll look the part. My stomach dropped. No, Claire, please. I can't. You can. And you will. There was no anger in her tone, no raised voice. Just calm certainty, like a teacher reminding a student of the rules. That made it worse. When I didn't move, she arched a brow. Do you want to look pathetic forever? Or do you want people to look at you and see beauty instead of a mistake? The word mistake stung, sharper than I wanted to admit. Slowly, hesitantly, I lowered myself into the chair. The mirror loomed before me, reflecting a fragile girl in a blue dress, eyes red from crying, lips trembling. I hated her. I hated seeing her. Claire set a heavy black makeup case on the counter, snapping it open with a flourish. Row after row of powders, brushes, lipsticks, eyeliners, all neat, organized, overwhelming. She looked down at me like a sculptor about to shape clay. Lesson 1: makeup. Every pretty girl needs it. I don't. My voice cracked, too soft. I don't want to be pretty. Her hand cupped my chin, nails grazing my skin just enough to make me flinch. That's not your choice anymore. I wanted to scream, but the sound died in my throat as she picked up a brush. The first touch was light, almost gentle, powder against my cheeks, a stroke across my nose. But every brush felt like erasure, as though she was painting over the boy I used to be. Close your eyes, she instructed. I obeyed, too numb to resist. The bristles swept across my lids, then something cool and sticky traced along the edges, eyeliner, mascara. She worked with precision, her movements confident, practiced. You have good features, she murmured. Soft. Delicate. You were wasted as a boy. The words cut deeper than she knew. When I opened my eyes again, the girl in the mirror was different. Her eyes looked larger, framed by dark lashes. Her skin seemed flawless, her lips tinted a faint rose. She looked less broken, less pitiful, almost pretty. And that terrified me most of all. Tears welled up. No, this isn't me. Claire's smile was gentle, cruel. It is now. I turned away, but she was already pulling something else from the bag, a delicate bra and panties, lacy and impossibly feminine. My breath caught. No. Absolutely not. Oh yes, she countered, holding them up as though they were a prize. Every girl needs her foundation. Clothes are meaningless without what's underneath. I shook my head violently. I won't. She stepped closer, her voice dropping low. Dangerous. Do you want me to tell the neighbors you're living here? That I have a boy in a dress crying in my apartment? Or do you want them to believe I have a lovely cousin staying with me? One who looks the part down to the lingerie? The threat hung in the air. My heart pounded. She knew she had me trapped. Slowly, with trembling hands, I took the garments. The fabric was impossibly soft, light as air. Putting them on felt like crossing another line I could never uncross. The bra hugged my chest in ways I didn't want to think about. The panties clung uncomfortably close. When I emerged from the bathroom, humiliated and red-faced, Claire clapped her hands softly. Perfect. You're learning. I wanted to tear it all off. I wanted to scream until the walls cracked. But instead, I stood frozen as she circled me like a predator admiring her prey. Lesson 2, she said softly, almost affectionately. Lingerie is not just clothing. It's identity. When you wear this, you're no longer pretending. You're accepting. I shook my head weakly. I'll never accept it. She leaned in, her lips brushing my ear as she whispered, We'll see. I shuddered. Trapped in lace, trapped in her control, trapped in a life that was no longer mine. And when I looked at the mirror again, I saw her. The girl Claire was shaping me into. The girl I couldn't escape. When I walked into school the next day, something was different. The whispers weren't just about me. They were planned, rehearsed, venomous. Everywhere I went, I heard it. She looks better as a girl than a boy. Did you see his legs in that skirt? Unreal. Maybe he was meant to be like this all along. My stomach twisted. These weren't random comments, they were lines fed to everyone. A coordinated strike. And at the center of it all was Emily. She stood across the hallway, leaning against her locker with a cruel smile tugging at her lips. My heart dropped when she raised her phone, playing a video. It was me, dressed in her clothes, twirling awkwardly, blushing, my voice cracking as I begged her to stop recording. She had filmed everything, and now the entire school had seen it. My friends, if I could still call them that, looked at me with mockery instead of loyalty. Teachers stared a second too long, as if wondering if I belonged in the girls' line or the boys'. Even the quiet kids, the ones who never said a word, snickered when I passed by. I wanted to disappear, to melt into the floor and never come back. But Emily wasn't finished. At lunch, she sat at my table, sliding a small bag toward me. Inside was a new outfit, another dress, this one even shorter, paired with pink lip gloss. "If you don't wear this tomorrow," she whispered, her eyes sparkling with malice, "I'll make sure everyone sees the rest of the video. The part where you actually smiled in my dress." She had me trapped. And worse, she knew it. My humiliation was no longer just a joke. It was her weapon, and she was going to use it until I broke. The weekend came faster than I expected. Sarah texted me, insisting I come over, because she had a surprise waiting. I thought maybe it was a prank video, or she just wanted to laugh at me again. When I walked into her room, I froze. Laid out neatly on her bed was a shimmering satin dress, light pink, delicate, with lace trimming around the sleeves. Next to it sat a pair of stockings, a wig, and even a pair of heels. "Try it on," she said, folding her arms, a sly grin on her face. I stammered, "No way, Sarah. This is too much." But she was insistent. "You lost the bet. Unless you're planning to back out, which means I get to post those videos I have of you messing up in class." My blood ran cold. She had recordings of my most embarrassing moments, and I couldn't risk them being leaked. With trembling hands, I picked up the dress. The fabric was impossibly soft, almost like it was alive against my skin. I went into her bathroom to change, and when I slipped it on, I barely recognized the person staring back at me in the mirror. The wig framed my face, the stockings smoothed out my legs, and the heels, well, I could hardly stand. When I stepped back into her room, Sarah's jaw actually dropped. For once, she didn't look like she was mocking me. Her eyes scanned me from head to toe, and then she burst into laughter, though I swore I saw a flicker of something else in her expression. "You actually pull it off," she said. "Better than I expected." Her words sent a strange shiver down my spine. That was the night everything shifted. The morning of my first day as her was nothing short of a nightmare, and yet strangely intoxicating. My sister had laid out everything: a pastel dress, sheer tights, a padded bra, and a full face of makeup she insisted on doing herself. Every brushstroke felt like it was erasing the boy I knew. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. A stranger looked back, a pretty girl with nervous eyes and trembling lips. At school, I felt hundreds of eyes on me. Whispers trailed behind me in the hallways. "She's new, isn't she? Wow, she's cute." My heart thumped so loud it drowned everything out. Somehow, no one seemed to notice that I wasn't who I claimed to be. But pretending was harder than I thought. I stumbled in my heels, faked a softer voice that cracked under pressure, and smiled through the terror of being caught. Every interaction felt like walking on thin glass. And yet, there was a strange thrill. For the first time, I wasn't invisible. People noticed me, complimented me, even laughed with me. It was a dangerous, intoxicating game. That night, I stared at myself in the mirror again, wondering, was this still a disguise, or was I becoming someone else entirely? The second day of pretending was even harder than the first. When I woke up, I almost thought yesterday had been a dream. But the dress hanging on my closet door, the wig on the mannequin head, and the faint traces of lipstick on my lips told me otherwise. My sister wasn't going to let me back out. She wanted me fully committed. She handed me another carefully chosen outfit, a pleated skirt, a fitted blouse, and heels just high enough to make my legs ache. I tried to protest, but she silenced me with one sharp glare and the reminder that if I refused, she'd expose everything. The transformation took longer this time. She added subtle touches that made me look even more convincing, curling the wig slightly, adjusting the way my bra fit, layering makeup in ways that softened every angle of my face. By the end, I wasn't just passing. I was believable. Walking into school felt like walking into a play where I was both the lead actress and the fraud hiding behind the curtain. People were starting to notice me, not as the new girl, but as someone they wanted to talk to. "Hey, you're in my English class, right?" a boy asked with a smile that made my stomach twist. Girls invited me to sit with them at lunch. They complimented my eyeliner, my skirt, my laugh, things no one had ever noticed when I was just myself. But every compliment was a double-edged sword. I couldn't enjoy them without hearing the ticking time bomb in the back of my mind. What if they find out? What if my voice slips, or my walk falters, or someone gets too close? The scariest part was that my sister seemed almost pleased with how well I was blending in. That night, she looked me in the eye and said, "See? You're better at this than you think. Maybe you were meant for this." Her words haunted me, because deep down, I wasn't sure if she was wrong. I thought things couldn't get worse, but I was wrong. The next morning, I woke up hoping that maybe it had all been a bad dream. Maybe I could just slip back into my old clothes and pretend nothing had happened. But when I opened my closet, my heart sank. All my jeans, hoodies, and t-shirts were gone. In their place hung skirts, blouses, and dresses neatly arranged on hangers. Even the shoes, my sneakers and boots, had been replaced with pumps, sandals, and heels. I spun around, panicked. "Where are my clothes?" I shouted. My girlfriend leaned against the doorway, smirking. She held a cup of coffee like it was just another casual morning. "Your clothes," she said slowly. "Oh, you mean those baggy, boring boy things? I donated them. You won't need them anymore." My blood turned cold. "What do you mean I won't need them?" I barked. "I'm not staying like this. I'm not a girl." She stepped closer, her eyes gleaming with something I couldn't quite describe. Half amusement, half control. "Oh, but you are," she whispered. "Look at you. You're already more convincing than half the girls at school. And after what happened yesterday, don't you think people are going to expect you to keep this up?" I shook my head violently. "No. I'll tell them the truth. I'll explain everything." But then she dropped the bomb. "If you do, I'll release the video." My body froze. "What video?" She pulled out her phone and pressed play. On the screen was me, wearing the dress, hair done up, lipstick shining, smiling shyly at the camera as she asked me to say a few words. In the clip, I giggled nervously and said, "Hi, I'm her pretty girlfriend." I felt sick. If that video went public, there would be no coming back. Everyone, my friends, classmates, even my parents, would think I had willingly chosen this. "You wouldn't," I whispered, my voice shaking. Her smirk widened. "Oh, I would. Unless, of course, you do exactly what I say." The walls of my room felt like they were closing in. My life wasn't just slipping away anymore. It was being ripped from my hands, piece by piece. And for the first time, I realized I was trapped. Completely and utterly trapped. The days that followed blurred together, yet each one carried the same unbearable weight. I had thought that I could keep my mask intact, that if I simply played along, eventually everything would return to normal. But it didn't. With each morning I awoke to silky sheets, the brush of satin nightgowns against my skin, and the carefully placed cosmetics waiting for me on the vanity. I felt the person I had been, the boy I had been, slipping further away. It wasn't just the clothing anymore. It was the way people looked at me. Teachers, classmates, even strangers on the street. No one saw him. The boy who once spoke too loudly, laughed without restraint, and teased recklessly. Now they only saw her. A girl with cautious eyes, painted lips, and a softness that hadn't existed before. Their expectations wrapped around me like invisible chains. I remember one particular day when it all came crashing down. A group project had been assigned, and without hesitation, my teammates handed me the role of designing and presenting because, in their words, "You've got the natural flair for it." They meant it as a compliment, but it cut deeper than any insult. I wanted to shout that I wasn't who they thought I was, that this wasn't me. Yet when I opened my mouth, nothing came. Their smiles were warm, accepting, and they made me feel trapped. If I broke the illusion, I feared the rejection would crush me completely. Later that night, standing before the mirror, I stared at my reflection. Long hair framed my face, soft curls spilling down to delicate shoulders. The eyeliner traced my eyes perfectly, giving them a shimmer I hadn't asked for, but couldn't deny looked good. My blouse clung to me in ways that emphasized curves I shouldn't have had. And yet, I couldn't tear my eyes away. A storm raged inside me. Half of me wanted to smash the mirror, to rip the clothes away and scream that I was still me. The other half was horrified by how much of me belonged in that reflection. How natural it looked. How convincing. How much it was starting to feel like home. The breaking point wasn't one dramatic scream or tearful collapse. It was quieter, more terrifying. It was the moment I whispered to myself, "What if this is who I am now?" The thought echoed in my skull, over and over, until it consumed me. My old self, the boy who teased, who never thought twice, felt like a fading memory, slipping through my fingers no matter how hard I tried to hold on. That night, I didn't wash off the makeup. I slid beneath the covers still painted, perfumed, and dressed like someone I swore I wasn't. And for the first time, I didn't cry about it. It terrified me more than anything else had. The morning sun felt like an accusation as I stared at the outfit laid out before me. Claire had chosen it herself, a tight-fitting dress in pale lavender, sheer stockings, and heels that felt impossible for my weak ankles. I could almost hear the whispers before I even stepped outside. I wanted to refuse, to hide under my old hoodie, to disappear entirely. But Claire's words from yesterday echoed in my mind, sharp as knives. Do this, or the video goes public. I swallowed hard, trembling, and slipped into the dress. The stockings clung to my legs like a second skin, smooth and unyielding. The heels made me wobble with every step, forcing me to adjust my posture unnaturally. My hands shook as I applied the lipstick Claire had picked out, soft pink, perfectly feminine. The mirror reflected someone I didn't know, someone I was becoming whether I wanted it or not. Claire stood behind me, arms crossed, watching like a hawk. Her smile was soft, almost affectionate, but her eyes glinted with that same cold control. "You're ready," she said quietly. "Time to see the world." Stepping outside was like walking into a nightmare. Every face in the street seemed to turn toward me. Some stared with admiration, some with curiosity, and a few with outright judgment. I tried to shrink, to make myself small, but the dress, the heels, and Claire's grip on my arm made that impossible. At the corner store, I nearly tripped on the uneven sidewalk, and the laughter that erupted from two boys made my cheeks burn with shame. I felt exposed, humiliated, and vulnerable in ways I had never imagined. Then it happened. A familiar voice from across the street froze me in place. "Is that him?" I spun around. My worst fear, someone from my past, someone who knew me before this nightmare, was staring at me with wide eyes. Panic surged through me, and I almost bolted, but the heels betrayed me, and I stumbled slightly. Claire tightened her grip, whispering, "Stand tall. Look confident. Remember who you are now." Her words, meant to comfort, only made the terror worse. I forced myself to smile, an awkward, trembling curve of my lips that barely concealed the shaking of my hands. The person recognized me instantly. My heart pounded. "Wait, oh my God." Before I could react, I felt the weight of the world pressing down on me. Every memory of who I had been, the boy who laughed freely, walked confidently, spoke without fear, collided with the girl in the mirror, the girl Claire had molded me into. And yet, as terrifying as it was, a small, forbidden thought whispered inside me. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can survive this. Claire's hand on my back reminded me that survival came at a cost. I would have to walk this line, trapped between fear and curiosity, humiliation and acceptance. The streets, the stairs, the whispers, they were a test. A public proving ground that I couldn't escape. I swallowed, straightened my back, and took another step forward. And the world kept watching. Claire had been planning this for days. I didn't know exactly where we were going until she handed me an invitation the night before, a glossy card with gold lettering announcing a charity gala for some society I'd never heard of. "You'll wear this," she said, laying out a floor-length emerald gown that shimmered under the dim lights of her apartment. The dress hugged my frame, accentuating curves I was still trying to understand. She picked up a pair of strappy heels, nearly double the height of the ones I could walk in, and smiled. "You'll look perfect. Remember, tonight is not just a test, it's a statement. People will see you. People will talk. And they'll think you were always meant to be like this." I shook my head. "I can't, Claire, I'll fall. I'll embarrass myself. I'm not ready." Her eyes hardened, though her smile remained sweet. "You will go. Or the video goes online tomorrow morning. I don't think you want that, do you?" I felt my stomach drop. The threat was real. My friends, my school, my life, all could be exposed in a single click. The choice wasn't mine. The night of the gala, I stood in front of the mirror, the emerald dress shimmering, the heels forcing me into careful, deliberate steps. My makeup was flawless thanks to Claire, my hair perfectly styled in loose waves that framed my face. And yet, when I looked at myself, I barely recognized the person staring back. Claire's hand rested lightly on my shoulder. "Beautiful. Just remember to smile. Confidence is key." The drive to the event was silent, except for Claire's occasional hum of satisfaction. When we arrived, the valet opened the door, and the first group of people noticed me. Eyes turned. Whispers began. At first, it felt like they were admiring me. Compliments floated through the air, strangers commenting on my elegance, my poise, my beauty. A strange warmth washed over me, but it was fleeting. Then came the whispers I had feared most. "She's different, isn't she? Do you think she used to be?" I froze. My heart raced. My old life, my old identity, felt like it was slipping from me completely. Every step I took in those heels reminded me that I wasn't just walking into a party, I was walking into a new reality. And then someone familiar approached. It was Mark, the boy from school who had been my closest friend. His eyes widened, and he blinked as if trying to reconcile what he saw. "Is that you?" he whispered, voice trembling. I wanted to vanish, to sink through the floor and never appear again. But Claire's grip tightened. "Smile," she whispered. "Remember who you are now." I forced a trembling smile. Mark's gaze flicked between my face and my body, disbelief written across his features. "Wow, you look different," he stammered. Different. That word hit me harder than any insult. Because it wasn't just about appearance. I was different. Someone I had never been. And deep down, part of me wondered if maybe, just maybe, I liked it, even if I would never admit it. The night dragged on. I was forced to mingle, sip champagne, clumsily of course, and respond to conversations I barely understood. Every compliment, every glance, every whispered comment felt like both a reward and a trap. By the time we left, I was exhausted. My feet ached, my legs trembled, and my head spun from the sheer weight of living someone else's life. Yet, in the back of my mind, one undeniable truth had taken root. Claire's control wasn't just about clothes, makeup, or heels. It was about shaping me into someone else entirely, a version of myself I had no choice but to inhabit. And, the worst part, I was starting to obey. Days after the gala, life didn't slow down, it accelerated. School, social events, public appearances, every step I took in heels, every layer of makeup, every carefully chosen outfit was another reminder that my old self was fading. The boy I had been, the one who laughed freely, who didn't worry about appearances, was disappearing piece by piece. But then there was Alex. He was different from everyone else. Where others stared or whispered, he looked at me with something warmer, curiosity, maybe understanding, but not judgment. It started innocently enough in the library. I had been struggling to carry a stack of books, my balance compromised by the heels, and he appeared out of nowhere. "Here, let me help," he said, steadying the pile with gentle hands. His touch wasn't invasive, it was grounding. I felt a spark of something I hadn't felt in weeks. Relief. "Thanks," I murmured, my voice soft, unsure how to sound like the girl I was pretending to be. He smiled, and it wasn't cruel or mocking. It was genuine. No problem. You okay? I wanted to tell him everything, to confess that this wasn't me, that I wasn't really the person everyone thought I was. But Claire's voice rang in my mind. One slip, and everything falls apart.
So I lied.
I nodded. Yeah, just tired, I guess. From that moment, he started noticing me more often, offering small gestures of kindness, a pencil when I forgot mine, a notebook when I left mine in my locker, a comforting word when someone whispered too loudly about me in the hallway. And slowly, I started enjoying it. It terrified me, because I knew the truth. I knew I wasn't supposed to enjoy being seen this way, being treated like a girl, being admired. And yet, my heart raced whenever Alex smiled at me, whenever he complimented my dress, my hair, my laugh. I caught myself thinking, maybe I like this, maybe I like him noticing me like this, maybe I like being her. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at myself in the mirror, the faint glow of the city lights filtering through the curtains. My reflection looked soft, beautiful, feminine. And I hated it. And yet I couldn't look away. The conflict tore me apart inside. On one hand, I wanted desperately to reclaim the boy I had been. On the other, I craved the affection, the attention, the strange thrill of feeling like someone truly saw me, even if it wasn't the real me anymore. And Alex, he didn't just see me.
He liked me.
I closed my eyes, leaning against the mirror. My voice whispered to the empty room. Who am I anymore? The question hung in the air, unanswered, while the reflection stared back at me with innocent, haunting beauty. I was caught between two worlds, one of my past, one of a future I couldn't yet accept. And Claire, she waited in the shadows, ready to pull me deeper into her web. The week after the gala was a whirlwind. Every day felt like walking a tightrope over a pit of shame, anxiety, and excitement I couldn't admit I felt. I was learning the rules: heels, posture, makeup, voice, gestures. Everything Claire demanded became second nature, almost automatic. And yet, the fear of her power, the threat of exposure, lingered constantly. Then came Monday. Claire appeared at my apartment door early, dressed sharply, carrying a small box. Her eyes sparkled with that familiar mix of sweetness and menace.
Good morning, she said.
I have a new challenge for you. I froze. The word challenge had always been a warning. She set the box down on the counter and opened it slowly. Inside were invitations to a private dinner party, a gathering of people I didn't know but who would undoubtedly judge, observe, and scrutinize me. A social test. You'll attend, she said, picking up one of the dresses. It was a deep crimson, elegant, and revealing in a way that made my stomach twist. And tonight, you'll behave like a girl who belongs in my world. Do you understand? I swallowed, fear rising like bile. I don't know if I can. Her hand pressed gently against my cheek. The touch was soft, almost affectionate, but the look in her eyes was ice. You will, or the world will see exactly what happens when you don't obey me. The memory of the video flashed through my mind. The one of me in her dress, smiling nervously, trapped by her camera. My throat tightened. Okay, I whispered, defeated. Claire smiled, satisfied. Good. Now let's prepare. The hours that followed were brutal. She instructed me on every detail: hair, makeup, accessories, the precise way to hold my hands, the way to speak. She made me rehearse my walk and gestures, correcting every stumble or unnatural movement. You see, she said, circling me like a predator, it's not just about looking like a girl. It's about becoming one. The world must believe it, and more importantly, you must believe it too. By the time we left for the dinner, I was trembling, not from the heels or the dress, but from the creeping realization that every part of my old self was slipping away. The party was worse than I had imagined. People looked at me with curiosity, admiration, and subtle judgment. I stumbled through conversations, smiled awkwardly, and laughed when I should have, all under Claire's sharp gaze. Each compliment, each glance, felt like both a reward and a trap. Halfway through the evening, she pulled me aside. "You're doing well, but let's see how loyal you really are." She handed me a phone and pointed to a video playing on the screen. It was footage of me from the gala, unedited, showing every awkward movement, every faltering step. "Send this to your contacts," she said, voice low, dangerous. "Or I post it online myself." I froze, my chest tightening. My hands shook. I can't." Claire's smile didn't falter. "Then you will. Or you'll face the consequences." The room seemed to close in around me. I was trapped between fear, humiliation, and the twisted obedience Claire demanded. And somewhere deep inside, a part of me wanted to obey. Not because I had no choice, but because part of me craved the approval, the attention, the thrill of being her. By the end of the night, when we returned home, I collapsed on the bed, exhausted, humiliated, and trembling. I had survived the social test, but the cost was clear. My autonomy, my sense of self, my identity, it was all slipping away, thread by thread. And Claire, she was always there, watching, guiding, controlling. The last thought before sleep took me was chilling. How much of me will be left by the time she's done with me? That night, after the gala and the exhausting week, I thought I might finally get a moment of peace. But Claire had other plans. She appeared at my door just as I was trying to change into something comfortable. Her presence alone made my stomach knot. She wasn't smiling this time. Her eyes were sharp, piercing, full of purpose. "We need to talk," she said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. I felt trapped instantly. My room, my sanctuary, was no longer mine. Claire had claimed it too, as part of her meticulous control. "Sit," she commanded softly but firmly. I obeyed, sinking into the chair by my vanity. My hands trembled in my lap, fingers intertwining as I tried to steady my breath. Claire circled me slowly, examining every detail. The dress I had worn that day hung loosely now, the curls of my hair perfectly styled. But her gaze wasn't on the surface. It was deeper, penetrating. "You're learning," she said, her tone almost approving. "But there's more. You're hiding from yourself. I can see it in your eyes." I'm trying," I whispered, voice cracking. "No," she said sharply. "You're resisting. And resistance is a waste of energy. I want you to stop pretending even to resist. Understand?" I swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. My identity, my will, even my fear, they all battled within me. Then she sat on the edge of the bed, close enough that her presence was overwhelming. "Look at me," she ordered. I obeyed, meeting her gaze. "You're terrified," she continued, her voice soft but laced with steel. "Terrified that if you let go, you'll vanish. But listen carefully, the boy you were is gone. Every day, every step, every compliment, every public stare, you are becoming her. And the more you fight, the more painful it will be when the world accepts you as this new version of yourself." Her words sank in like icy water. I wanted to deny them, but part of me knew she was right. I had been pretending, hiding, resisting, but the reflection in the mirror, the heels under my feet, the attention from Alex and others, it was undeniable. I was changing. She leaned closer, her hand brushing lightly against my cheek, and whispered, "And the funny thing? I think you're starting to like it. Admit it. Being beautiful, being admired, being controlled, there's a thrill in it, isn't there?" I couldn't speak. My heart pounded, a mix of fear, shame, and an unfamiliar rush of excitement. "Good," she said, standing and circling me again. "Because this is just the beginning. You're going to fully embrace it, or you'll regret every moment of hesitation. And I won't hesitate to remind you how powerless you are without me." I felt my world collapse in slow motion. My life, my identity, my freedom, all dangling by the fragile thread of her whims. And yet, even as terror coursed through me, there was a part of me that wanted to obey, to surrender, to become the girl I was slowly becoming. She left me alone after that, but her words lingered in the air, in my skin, in my very bones. I sat on the bed for hours, staring at my reflection, whispering the question I couldn't escape. Who am I now, and is there even a me left to fight for? Weeks had passed since the gala, the private confrontations, and the endless lessons Claire imposed. Every morning, I awoke to a life that felt increasingly not my own. Every reflection in the mirror reminded me that I was becoming someone else, someone more beautiful, more fragile, more controlled. But tonight was different. Claire had arranged something monumental, a lavish party, a gathering of influential people, a place where everyone would see me completely transformed. The pressure was suffocating. I felt like a marionette, every move dictated, every word scrutinized. As I slid into the floor-length silver gown, my hands trembling against the smooth fabric, I realized something terrifying. The boy I had been, the one who laughed freely, who made mistakes, who had been alive, was gone. Not physically, but in every essence, every mannerism, every thought. Claire approached, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "Tonight," she said softly, brushing a curl from my face, "the world will know the real you, the one you've become." Her words should have terrified me, but they didn't. Because the truth was undeniable. A part of me wanted this. A part of me craved it. At the party, every gaze landed on me. People whispered compliments. Men and women alike admired my elegance, my posture, my laugh. And somewhere in the crowd, Alex smiled. Warm, encouraging, oblivious to the twisted web behind my transformation. My chest tightened, not just from fear, but from a strange, forbidden thrill. Claire's hand rested lightly on my back as we navigated the room. "Do you feel it?" she whispered. "The power of being seen like this? The world finally notices you. You've never been invisible, have you?" I shook my head, a shiver of fear and excitement running through me. I don't know," I admitted. "That's good," she said. "Because tonight, you stop questioning. You either embrace it or lose everything forever." The choice was unbearable. Escape meant risking exposure, humiliation, losing the only person who had pushed me to this extreme transformation. Acceptance meant surrendering entirely, losing the last pieces of the boy I had been, and stepping fully into a new life. I wandered to the balcony, the city lights sparkling below, reflecting the storm inside me. The wind tossed my hair, fluttered the gown around my legs. I closed my eyes and imagined running, leaving Claire, leaving the heels, the dresses, the makeup, leaving her. But in that instant, I felt a hand on my shoulder, Claire. Her touch was gentle, almost soothing. "You don't have to run," she whispered. "You can let go. Let yourself be beautiful. Let yourself be admired. Let yourself be mine." The words reverberated in my chest, and I realized I didn't want to fight anymore. I opened my eyes, stepped back from the balcony, and returned to the party. Each step in my heels, each careful gesture, each soft laugh, I embraced it all. I was fully seen, fully admired, fully transformed. And somewhere deep inside, I finally accepted it. The boy I had been was gone. But in his place stood a girl who could captivate, charm, and survive in a world I had never imagined. Fear and thrill intertwined as I moved through the crowd. Alex approached, smiling warmly, oblivious to the hidden struggle I had overcome. I returned his smile, soft and confident. Claire watched from across the room, satisfaction written on her face. The game was over, but I had changed forever. And in that moment, I realized the truth. Some transformations can't be reversed. Some choices define you completely. And some powers, the power of control, of beauty, of identity, once tasted, are impossible to let go. I was a girl for good. And I had no regrets. The city lights glittered like a million tiny accusations, each one reminding me of how far I had come and how far I had fallen. The heels dug painfully into my feet. The gown clung to curves I had never known, and my reflection in the mirror had become a stranger's face, soft, flawless, undeniably feminine. I had dreamed of running away, screaming, tearing the world apart to reclaim my old life. But escape was no longer an option. Claire had ensured that every step I had taken in her world, every public appearance, every whisper, every compliment, had been a brick in a cage from which there was no exit. And yet, there was a thrill I hadn't expected. The thrill of being noticed, of being admired, of being completely, terrifyingly beautiful in a way I had never imagined for myself. Claire appeared behind me, her presence overwhelming yet comforting in its dangerous way. She didn't speak immediately. She simply watched, evaluating, waiting for me to make the first move. "You feel it," she finally whispered. "The power, the fear, the attention. You've become someone else, haven't you?" I swallowed hard. "Yes." She cut me off with a finger to my lips.
No.
"Don't speak. Let yourself feel. Don't fight it. Tonight, you'll walk among them as yourself or what you've become." The party was a whirl of glittering gowns, sparkling chandeliers, and soft, intoxicating music. People laughed, danced, and mingled, completely unaware of the struggle behind my perfectly composed mask. Each step I took in my heels was a test, every smile a performance. But as I moved through the crowd, I noticed something new. I felt power.
People looked at me.
They whispered. They admired. Alex approached, oblivious to the storm inside me, his smile warm and inviting. "You look incredible," he said. I felt my heart pound, not from fear this time, but from a strange, forbidden thrill. I smiled, the first genuine smile I had allowed myself in weeks. "Thank you," I replied, soft, confident, feminine. Claire watched from across the room, her eyes gleaming. Satisfaction radiated from her. Every instruction, every humiliating moment, every private lesson, all of it had led to this. I was hers, molded perfectly into a new identity she controlled completely. As I stood there, amidst the glimmering crowd, the realization struck me. The boy I had been was gone, not physically, but in essence. His voice, his laughter, his careless confidence, they had all been replaced by a girl who was learning to navigate a world she had never belonged to. I felt a shiver, part fear, part exhilaration. My reflection in the shiny surfaces around the party, a mirror in a wall, the glass of a window, showed me over and over again. Each reflection confirmed it. I was someone else. I was beautiful. I was captivating. I was hers. And then, for the first time, I embraced it. I walked to the balcony, letting the cool night air brush against my face. The city below sparkled with lights, echoing the glittering world inside the room. For a brief moment, I closed my eyes, letting myself feel everything: fear, exhilaration, loss, desire. And I realized the truth. Some transformations aren't reversible. Some identities, once molded, cannot be undone. And some powers, the power of beauty, control, attention, once experienced, are impossible to walk away from. I returned inside the party, each step deliberate, confident, feminine. Alex smiled at me, genuine and warm. I returned it, feeling a thrill run through my chest. The applause, the whispers, the admiration, they were mine to command now, to inhabit, to feel. Claire appeared beside me, hand brushing mine briefly, whispering softly, "You've finally understood. You are who you're meant to be." The words struck me like lightning. I was terrified, exhilarated, humiliated, and powerful, all at once. The journey was over, but the consequences were permanent. I was a girl for good. And I had no regrets. The city lights reflected in my eyes, bright and endless, as I accepted the new life Claire had forged for me. The old me, the boy, was gone. But in his place was someone stronger, someone captivating, someone who had survived the impossible transformation and emerged into a new, unforgettable self. Tonight, I wasn't just surviving. I was living. The days that followed the gala were unlike anything I had ever experienced. I woke up in the soft glow of morning light, the silk sheets brushing my skin, my hair perfectly styled, my reflection staring back with wide, expressive eyes that were not mine, At least, not the me I used to know. I moved through the apartment with cautious grace, the heels and dresses now familiar, yet still a challenge. Every gesture felt heightened, amplified, like the world was watching even when it wasn't. Claire had left me with instructions. You are her now. Live it fully. Every day. Every moment. I stepped outside into the world, and it reacted differently. The way people looked at me, the subtle nods, the lingering glances, all made me aware that I was no longer invisible. The streets, once ordinary, now felt like a stage where my every move mattered. Alex noticed immediately. He approached, smiling warmly. You seem different, he said, voice gentle, curious. I smiled, heart racing. I am. And it was true. Every day, I felt more confident, more poised, yet deeper in the grip of Claire's design. The thrill of admiration, the intoxicating power of beauty, it was addicting.
And terrifying.
Life outside became a constant test. Every trip to a store, every class, every social gathering held the potential for recognition. People who knew me before, the ones who had remembered me as a boy, occasionally appeared. Their eyes widened, disbelief and curiosity mixing in every glance. One afternoon, a former friend called out my old nickname across a crowded street. I froze. My heart raced. Panic and exhilaration collided. But as I walked toward them, carefully balancing in my heels, I realized something terrifying and liberating. I didn't feel like running anymore. The world was seeing her, and I was beginning to see herself too. Alex became a constant presence. We spent more time together, talking, laughing, sharing moments that blurred the lines between friendship and something more intimate. My feelings were complex, a mixture of fear, desire, guilt, and excitement. Sometimes, I would catch myself enjoying being called beautiful, pretty, charming. I hated it. I craved it. I hated it again. The internal struggle consumed me, yet it made me feel alive in ways the old me never had. Claire watched silently from the edges, her influence woven into every moment, every choice, every interaction. She had created not just a new identity, but a new life I couldn't escape from, even if I wanted to. One night, alone in my room, I faced myself in the mirror. The girl staring back was undeniably real. My reflection didn't just mimic me, it was me. Every curve, every movement, every feature told the story of months of transformation. I whispered, barely audible, "Who am I?" The answer was both terrifying and clear. The boy I had been was gone. The girl I had become, crafted, controlled, admired, was fully alive. The conflict between fear, regret, excitement, and desire swirled inside me like a storm I could never escape. I ran my fingers over my cheeks, my lips, the soft lines of my new form. I was hers. I was beautiful. I was powerless and powerful at the same time. Weeks turned into months. Each day reinforced the new reality. I attended school, social events, and outings entirely as her. Alex's attention became a bittersweet comfort, Claire's control a constant shadow, and the world's gaze both thrilling and terrifying. I no longer questioned it. The transformation was permanent, irreversible. I had surrendered, not out of weakness, but because some parts of me, the thrill, the fear, the beauty, wanted it. And in that surrender, I found a strange kind of freedom. The freedom to be someone else, fully, completely, unashamedly. The boy I had been existed only in memory, faint and fragile. But the girl I had become, real, visible, powerful, was alive, dominant, and endlessly captivating. And for the first time, I whispered to myself with clarity, not fear. I am her and I am enough. By now, I had grown accustomed to my life as her, moving through the world with an elegance and confidence that felt foreign but intoxicating. Yet the past refused to stay buried. One afternoon, as I entered a small cafe, I saw him, Ryan, a friend from my old life. His eyes widened as they met mine, the recognition dawning slowly. A shiver ran down my spine. My heart pounded, trapped between fear, shame, and excitement. "Is that you?" he asked, voice trembling. I froze, unsure what to say. Every instinct screamed to run, hide, deny. But Claire's lessons echoed in my mind. "You are her. You must be seen. You must accept it." I forced a calm smile, letting the girl I had become answer. "Yes, it's me." Ryan stared, disbelief and awe mixing in his gaze. You look amazing." I felt a flush of shame and thrill. The world was seeing me, recognizing me, and I was undeniably captivating. Every part of me, the dresses, the makeup, the poise, was on display, and I realized I no longer wanted to hide. Alex's presence became a constant, softening the edges of my fear. We began spending evenings together, sharing laughter and whispered secrets. Yet each moment was tinged with tension. I could never reveal my past fully, never admit the complete manipulation and control that had shaped me. And still, I enjoyed being admired, being touched, being noticed. Each compliment, each fleeting touch from Alex, sent shivers down my spine. The line between fear, desire, and acceptance blurred. One night, sitting across from him, my reflection shimmering in the cafe window, I whispered, "Sometimes I forget who I used to be, and sometimes I don't even want to remember." Alex smiled gently, unaware of the turmoil inside me. "Then maybe you're exactly who you're supposed to be now." Her. That word echoed in my mind. It wasn't just identity. It was Claire's creation, her influence, and my own undeniable acceptance. Late at night, alone in my room, I faced the mirror again. The girl staring back was fully formed, soft, flawless, beautiful. Every curve, every gesture, every expression reflected months of control, training, and psychological manipulation. I traced my cheek, feeling the smoothness, and whispered to myself, "Am I still me, or is this all her?" The answer was both terrifying and liberating. The old me was gone, replaced by someone entirely new. And yet, a strange part of me, thrilled, alive, excited, wanted to remain this way forever. Claire's words echoed. "The boy you were is gone. You are hers. You are beautiful." And for the first time, I believed it. Months passed. School, parties, outings. Life flowed around me in a mix of admiration, fear, and control. Every public glance, every whispered compliment, every encounter reinforced the truth. I was no longer the boy I had been. Alex's growing affection, the world's attention, and Claire's continued guidance molded me further. I learned to move, speak, and think like her, blending fear and excitement with poise. Each day I wore a new outfit, walked into new situations, smiled at strangers. All reminders that this was my life now, permanent and unchangeable. One night, standing on a balcony overlooking the city, heels clicking softly against the floor, I realized the full truth. I was hers. Completely. Beautiful. Admired. Irrevocably transformed. The boy I had been existed only as a memory, faint and fragile. The girl I had become, real, visible, powerful, was alive, captivating, and fully mine to inhabit. I whispered to the night sky, "I am her, and I am enough." The wind carried my words into the city, blending fear, exhilaration, shame, and joy. The transformation was complete. I had surrendered, accepted, and discovered an identity both terrifying and empowering. The story closes with bittersweet finality. The old life lost, a new life fully embraced, and the psychological, emotional, and social consequences completely realized.